Has anyone here had any relatives or know anybody that's had their children taken and it's broken their hearts? Well, I've written a poem called Tribute to the Barcode Children with No Name. And I wrote this a couple of years ago. And I've actually been to Holloway prison for being accused falsely of contempt of court on a claim where I wasn't even a party, for trying to help a mother who had her children, her daughter, taken and given to the abuser, who happened to be the father. And last year something happened, because it brought to light the beginnings of the wheels of justice. But this happened in August 2011. And I was thrown into prison by Nicholas Wall, who was the president of the family court. And I was so gobsmacked about what happened, because I had never had any summons, I'd never had any papers, I'd never been joined as a party to the case. I hadn't committed any crime. It was so-called civil matter, it wasn't a criminal matter. But they were supposed to go to the Attorney General to get permission. They didn't do that, they broke the law. And he threw me in jail for a 9-month sentence with no trial, with no anything, no defence, no right of defence, no papers, nothing. And Doncaster Council was behind it all. And I later found out...
Crown Court? Sorry, is that Crown Court?
Yeah, the Crown... No, the family court in the RCJ.
Okay.
And I actually had a letter from the court manager saying there was no such case number. And it turned out that the county council was creating its own care orders inside the council building. And I believe this is happening on a big scale. That county councils up and down the country are creating a huge source of revenue by putting care orders on children. There's a price on their heads. I think they get an average of £2,000 or £3,000 a week. I don't know what it is now, but if you do the maths, over 100,000 children go into care every year and another 100,000 go missing. That was the stats a few years ago. I don't know what they are now. They could be much worse. That equates to a couple of £1 billion a year. That revenue, where is it going? I then saw the government white paper saying that county councils are causing a problem for the government because they're squirreling away an average of £28 billion a year. I think that was in 2015 or 16, collectively. So there's something really funny going on with the county councils, which, by the way, are just another corporation. Which is interesting, because then it calls into question, well, if they're charging far more for council tax than you need to pay, then what's going on? You know, maybe these people that we're trusting to be guardians over the running of the country are not actually quite so trustworthy as we're led to believe. Maybe it's a case that we need to take our power back and organise ourselves to do things. You know, I believe in self-governance. You know, I think you can see everything, the fruits that's happening. There's something not right in this picture. You know, record numbers of suicides, people going dependent on alcohol, drugs, so this huge drug culture. They say every single £20 note in London has had cocaine slipped off it. Like, what the heck's going on? You know, what is going on? You know, what is this departure from our basic needs? Has anyone seen the film Thrive? Yes. And the elements that we actually need are clean water, sunlight, clean air, and land to grow crops, and energy, free energy. And actually the energy is free. Who owns the national grid? The government thinks it owns a national grid. How many energy companies have we got? All these energy companies are actually all coming from the same pot, just like the banking cartel. Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. All these different bank names, and they're all sharing the same pot of money, Bank of International Settlements. When you start to look into it, you see something's very wrong with this picture. And the problem is not shortages. We're not short of money. We're not short of food. We're short of distribution of food. We're short of distribution of money. We have a bankrupt country. We have a bankrupt government, morally bankrupt.
Short of honest people in government.
Precisely. And governments are created with the consent of the governed. We, the electorate, with the consent of the governed. Something is going wrong here. We have an overbearing government, do we not? You know, they treat us like we're idiots. You know, there's a law for us, a law for them. It's like, you're not one of us, you know. You're not an MP, you're not going to get audience here. You know, what is this? I think it's so demoralising. They wonder why people aren't going out and creating what they're brilliant at. You know, how can you do the work you were born to do when you're spending your life in combat, fighting corrupt courts and banksters who are their partners in crime to take your house off you? I think it's just now into this one about the barcode children with no name. I called it the barcode children with no name. I read it to a lady who, there's a very brave lady called Sabine McNeil who had a website called Victims Unite. She's been in prison since March. She's committed no crime. She actually grew up in a war zone. She's German and she speaks fluent English, and I think she's still in prison now, or she's going through a trial. But in essence, she committed no crime, and there's supposed to be an injured party under common law. You can't put a person in prison without a trial before a jury.
How many political prisoners have we actually got?
Huge numbers of political prisoners. Huge numbers. Anybody who stands up to them, they try to bang them up. It's like we're treading on eggshells. It's something very not right in this picture. We need to increase people's awareness, become part of the solution. You know, we need to really think through what's happening here and question everything, I believe. Anyway, the fact is, she shouldn't be in prison. There was a particular case, which I'm not going to mention because it's so incendiary, but there's been a huge cover-up. And very often, the more damning the evidence and the information is, the bigger the cover-up. And it's tragic. Innocent people ending up being swallowed into the vortex of deception to keep the state of play going. Okay, so this is the tribute to the barcode children with no name. Okay. We fight the good fight, we reach for the light, we silently pause to heal the cause that binds our loved ones, our precious children, beacons of joy whose innocence fills them. May the mother of freedom now cut the ties to all that binds us to crazy pride. May truth prevail and share relief, all tyrants surrender their beliefs. May justice now be sure to find us and all oppression replaced with kindness. No longer do we need to fail, for love divine rescues. Need to fall. Divine love rescues us all. And this is it. This is the poem. A political message said that the only thing that can change this, God's healing love. The family court, it takes the cake. The county council's on the make. The racketeering, it's so entrenched. No choice is given or even mentioned. To minors, all the underage, they have no chance to have their say. These tyrants and tin pot dictators invent a reason, then they take them forcibly away. No words convey the pain they live through every day. In forced adoption you must stay, say ruthless judges. So let us pray. The face of innocence we must protect, lawful rebellion to every threat. Such precious lives can't be beset. Our children's rights we can't forget. They register each child at birth. They treat each baby as a serf. Their precious working life ahead, they see the dollar signs instead. By turning children into chattel and treating them like herds of cattle. No feelings there, no love or care. They ruthlessly will then prepare to break up families. Such hell they make, conspiring unlawfully to take our children. Oh, for heaven's sake, they think they're products of the state. Gross interference violates our human rights and Article 8. If there's a higher law at play, we step up to the plate and say, you can't steal children to pay your debts. It isn't just to leave oppressed the minors who've done nothing wrong. They can't go where they don't belong. The right to family life prevails. Unalienable, it never fails. Our flesh and blood can't be replaced. Our offspring rights can't be erased. They're stealing from the public purse, using fake care orders and worse. A backdoor route to taxpayers' money, hiding from view. This isn't funny. It's racketeering, akin to theft, broken families left bereft. To whom will all these people turn? Child welfare scams, they should be spurned. For all of it is just a lie, as none can truthfully deny. No honest work here, nothing's earned. Enormous lessons they must learn. Thousands a week is paid away for every child whom they betray. Built on deceit and greed at play, with fiat money they will pay. As county councils fill their coffers, siphon offshore their massive profits to holding companies so sated, no wonder family courts are hated. For persecution is their game. What right have they to act this way? their acts unconscionably depraved, the barcode children with no name. There's tens of millions of pounds that they make, with every family unit at stake. By putting up our kids for sale, they tell the parents, you have failed. They fabricate a fault, they judge, their consciences are in the mud. Child terrorists, they have some nerve. These fascist bullies do not serve. If all their torts were then reversed, what would they do? They'd go berserk. They'd fight for justice at any price. Reap what they sow, and so think twice. They'd learn that child snatching's wrong. Humiliated, they don't belong to any sane society. They'd see their impropriety. They'd feel the pain just for a change and stop inflicting their mindless game on others whom they so mistreat. Bad karma, loveless lives they lead. By forced adoption and deceit, there is no care order to compete with loving parents. So stop these cheats who treat good people just like meat. Their mental cruelty is off the scale. Invading privacy, they totally fail. They disregard all family rights. With wickedness, they've all lost sight of what's important to us all. It's up to us to make them see, to learn to show humanity. It's now a must that we break free. Immoral acts invite us back. Who has the right to challenge that? They're sown seeds of misery, both child and parent are about to death, both forced to grieve, such cruelty tearing them apart. Oh please, let's mend these broken hearts. So let's unite and cut the ties that bind them to satanic pride. Ritual abuse, it has no rights to claim a child or steal their light. The Holy Spirit rescues them, returns them back to love again. The victims turn to victory, so turn the tables, set them free.
Is there a group, a hunger striking outside the family courts in London at the moment?
Well, if there isn't, there should be.
I think there
But
is.
what I forgot to mention, the judge who sent me down to Holloway for a 9-month sentence with no papers and no trial, hung himself last year.
What?
For dementia. And he had frontal lobe dementia. And I looked it up and it said it affects their judgment, it affects their use of language, it affects everything that a judge needs to have his faculties to sit in office. And that means all the judgments that judge made, I think his office, he was only in office for about a year, were unsafe. How come the Ministry of Justice has done nothing? Who is this Ministry of Justice? I looked them up. 68,000 employees across the whole shooting match. Something like 200 and something directors. Not a single one of them accessible. I asked them for a meeting next week. I don't know if I'll get it. I want to turn up at their offices. I told them that. How do you access these people? Any other company being run, you can access the directors through Companies House. There's something very murky going on with Companies House as well. You know, these people who call themselves government, why do we need 250 directors? Why do we need so many employees when justice is running amok? And nobody's monitoring the judges, and they're making fake orders, and they're stealing money by pen and paper, and they're using false instruments, and nobody stops to look at the devil in the details. Like, what is this? How can they claim to have rights over our lives and dominate our lives? This is my question. I'm in this question. You know, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, Article 10, rights of expression. So I'm trying to express myself today in a way that might help people to realise that, you know, I'm sure we're all asking the same thing. I wrote out something for the Sovereign Property Alliance, which is built on principles. It's a bit like a manifesto. Because I think what we need to do is to create a cooperative where we protect our property rights and our right to a home. Because everyone needs a home. It's the one thing we need. Without a home, you perish, you die. You know, it becomes a big issue, you know, just for basic human needs. It makes no sense to me how we have a so-called social welfare system and we've got record numbers of people being thrown out of their homes on false paperwork and fake accounts. So this is really what's playing out. So I've written something out, and I think, you know, if we can create an opt-in situation, that anybody who wants to join a few good men and women with this vision to take back our power, take back our property rights, to challenge the way the courts are being run, to challenge the way that possession orders are being created. And they use the wrong forms practically every single time. They use forms which are meant for the landowner, the landlord, to claim back possession when it's been unoccupied for a few years. You know, N24 I think it is. I mean, a lot of the maladministration, you know, we should be able to tear it apart if people have the knowledge. You know, they should be teaching this in the school. We need to protect our homes. You know, people, their sweat equity. People have worked all their life to pay for their homes. You know, we found out that there were charges put on our house we didn't even know were there. It turned out that the solicitor who was acting for the vendor when I paid cash for my house in 1993, it turned out that he stole my cash when I was suffering epilepsy. I was severely disabled, and I didn't find out until 2016, 22 years later. I've been living in that house knowing something was very wrong. We've been having horrible things happening, letters about debt and forced sale and all kinds of stuff. It's been coming for years. I was getting fake bank accounts. I thought, I never opened this account. They literally have taken a fake bank account, opened it in our names, pinned the debt onto my husband and myself without our signature of authority. They can do this to anyone. They've opened, the Bank of Scotland, Lloyds Banking Group, have opened up 6 of these fake accounts. 6. Not a single one of them was authorised by us to be opened. And they then pin the debt on you. They then claim they can't register it because there's nowhere to register it because the account numbers are fake. What is the government doing? The government is asleep and AWOL. Why are they ignoring these goings on? They know what's going on. I've written to the Treasury about it. I'd like to hear what other people have to say about this. Why are we being ignored? The devil is in the detail. It starts with the fake accounts, the false instruments. They're pinning debt on people's names that isn't theirs.
Where is the apathy coming from then? Is it bribery? Why are they being quiet?
They're protecting their pensions, probably most of them.
Yeah. Well, I think the government is making so much money off institutionalised fraud. I think that's the worst.
Is that it? Financial.
Worst case scenario is that it's too profitable for them. What else can it be? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But why are they even talking about it? It's like the British stiff upper lip in the worst possible way. It's like, hang on a minute, you know, the house is burning down. You know, it doesn't seem to be happening to the MPs and politicians. Maybe 1 or 2 of them fall in the net, but it's happening to, you know, the upstanding civilian. You know, the sweat equity of the majority. You know, the pyramid of power. The power of the pyramid is in the base, not at the top. You know, they're putting
foundations, exactly.
Putting strings from the top down. You know, we're all being conned. I think we're all being conned. I really do. It's a dire situation. I'm going to go back into the poems, and then I'm going to take a little break, let somebody else speak, then I'll share with you the Sovereign Property Alliance, if you like. These are all good questions. Where is the money going? You know, why are they indifferent? Why are they doing nothing about it? Anthony Stansfield said the problem seems to be with the Treasury. They could invite him and he could share his findings. You know, he's in charge of the Thames Valley Police
What's
area.
his second name?
2 million people. Stansfeld.
Stansfeld.
He's amazing. He's really, really good corruption fighter. He can't stand corruption. I can't stand corruption. You know, it is corrosive. It hijacks your life. It turns them upside down. You know, it's a very, very upsetting situation. Right. This is the first part. Michael, you're a legend, a mentor and a friend. You cleverly exposed the fact that banksters do not lend. You flagged up all the mortgages, a never-ending spend. Loan interest paid on nothing, a debt that never ends. Michael, you're a maestro who really knows his stuff. The artful way you've raised the game, unravelling their bluff. Despotic banks and banksters, colluding with their judge. Fake balance sheets and lawlessness, they need a mighty nudge. They've hid away due process of laws meant to protect. The twists and turns of evidence, it's all done for effect. describing us as borrowers with nothing there to show. We've never yet received a dime. Their game is touch and go. Michael, you're a star who's totally debunked void deeds and diatribes of lies designed to leave you sunk, withholding all disclosure so justice is beset, surrounding us with witnesses we've never even met. They'll steal a home without a loan, divesting everything you own. So try not to forget they're ultimately powerless, devoid of all respect. They have no method to enforce. Let truth reveal the winning course. The claim they made is yours to thwart, devoid of substance in a rigged court. A shadow court they hired at that, so let's debunk and have a spat. Expose them, this is what they need. We must dismantle all this greed. These oligarchs don't care a dime, controlling money, yours and mine. They care not who just made the laws. It's private work behind closed doors. Conniving how to rob the poor, they then keep coming back for more. Prime properties, they want the best. They never let the stealing rest. And running to the court, they say, I claim the right to take your home with all false accounting. Repay that loan. We want to claim all that you own. And yet they can't withstand the test. The cheating lawyers become depressed. When burdens of proof elude them still, and x-ray eyes see their ill will. So target their Achilles heel. It's right that we protest. They throw away the people's right to usury's neglect. We must rebel. Time is now to stop their spin just for effect. Collateral damage isn't ours. It's theirs alone to carry. For banking loans are burdensome. They have good cause to worry. Their nemesis is drawing nigh. I hear you letting out a massive sigh. Thank heavens truth is shining out. Show us the money, I hear you shout. Committing acts of genocide, no moral compass, nowhere to hide. With biased court staff on their side. Depraved corruption, where's their pride? Oh, what mendacious webs they weave when setting out just to deceive. Perverting all that's good and true, they stand apart from me and you. The game they're playing isn't real, disguising that they're trying to steal. Our homes, our children, assets too. They've turned our courts into a zoo. While everyone is wanting more, we boot out thieves sat at our doors and passengers who ride the wave, divesting assets that we've saved. Immoral acts invite us back. Who has the right to challenge that? Wearing their wigs and camouflage, trading their legal arbitrage, an old boys' network that is entrenched in conmanship with all its stench. They break the rules from their own bench. But don't despair, for good folk care. Justice will deliver you your share. Restoral and full restitution taken from our constitution. Foul play will simply fade away. Abhorrent acts, they will not stay. So do take care, don't be dismayed. The memory of liars fades, as all of us can find relief being lifted up away from thieves. Michael, you're a hero whose work is helping many. You finally unlocked the truth that banks have never lent a penny. You paved the way to understand the art of war in banking crimes, a travesty we all deplore, illusory debts that we abhor. They'll hoover up all that you own, so do not let them. Throw them down, divest them of their stolen crown. Michael, you're a hero whose work is helping many. You finally unlocked the truth that banks don't lend a penny. You paved the way to understand the art of war in banking crimes, a travesty we all deplore, illusory debts that we abhor. They'll hoover up all that you own, so do not let them. Throw them down, divest them of their stolen crown. For all along, the mortgagee has got no rights to take or deal the assets from the mortgagor. That isn't real. No law supports intent to steal. The truth has merely been reversed to dupe you, and in fact, what's worse, is that the courts are being misused to launder money from those accused of being debtors. But that's untrue. No lawlessness can misconstrue. Burdens of proof they will eschew. What's yours is yours, belongs to you. The bank, it must retreat from view. They're brokering illusions, they're taking us as fools. The perjury and forgery, disobeying their own rules. There's inequality of arms, and dangerous games and cowardice. No wonder every court user bemoans all that's amiss. The judges bought and paid for by the rude autocracy, removing our illusions about UK's democracy. Chicanery, cheating too, amoral acts they hide from view. Those private sessions in hired courts, disguised hearings with no fact find, they burden you with compound torts, By twisting rules they seek to bind. The voice of truth they are afraid. They drown in falsehoods that they made. Without due process, no claim to find. They can't compete with awakened minds. When all is said and done, we know, dismantle lies have nowhere to go. We throw off lies that try to bind. We stand in truth, we change our minds. Our sovereignty, it is intact. We throw the Trojans off our backs. Releasing their iniquities, we step into what makes us free. Arise like lions from the slumber, in invanquishable number. Their earthly chains collapse like dew. We all wake up, we start anew. For we are many, they are few. Percy Bysshe Shelley, yes, he knew. Do not forget, we are the best. We free all those who are oppressed. Court officers who don't pass the test. There's no compliance, nothing's checked. Such negligence leaves us oppressed. We claim our sovereignty again. We stand in truth, support good men. Their lazy game is ruled by slobs. They've lost their way, forgot their oath, reducing justice to broken shards. So who on earth will guard the guards? And part 3, the racketeering and queer mummery in British courts. I had a lot to get off my chest, didn't I? The racketeering in British courts is swamped with actors wearing masks. Don't be deceived, it's all a game. It's all a fight, their fight for glory and for fame. The cutting edge, what's in a name? They do not recognise your pain. The barrister then demands a favour from the judges who've been bought and paid for. All fully clothed in false regalia, they clutch at straws, preventing failure. Of all the props they use to cheat, they aid to turn you on the street. The pomp and protocol is swayed to acquiesce with lies they made. They hide behind their wigs and robes, forever terrified you'll probe. Then suddenly you find them out. You turn the tables while they shout, "A CRO is what we need." They shut you down and feed their greed. A poisoned chalice they hand to you. So don't be fooled. You can see through illusions which will veil the truth. Court officers are never sleuths. Their game is bluff. We know enough to ambush them and play it tough. Their ducking, diving still continues. They're tough as nails and nylon sinews. Insatiable, they battle on until their case they bought is won. Or so they think, but once it's done, you rise again and shine a light and trumpet every lie in sight. Their game unravels and your plight is then expunged. Just one good move, you took the game. The legal chessboard has them framed, and now they hang their heads in shame. Since empty vessels make most noise, but victory comes with silent poise, just when you least expect it. They hide behind the scam of Brexit, and once caught out with nothing won, they ring-fence justice, go strangely numb. Conspiracy of silence comes, denial reigns. They've done the sums. They know how much they really owe, their sweaty forehead and furrowed brows. They dread the thought of paying out. They see they haven't any clout. They hastily retreat and hope will soon give up, relieved. Burdens of proof they've never met, so make sure they do not forget that you, the sovereign, knows your rights, and then your victory will be in sight. You prove the papers are not valid, debunk the tricks and lies so squalid. With calm precision, a surgeon's knife transcends the tyranny and strife of British courtrooms gone off-piste. A feeding frenzy set to feast on chattel they want you to give, the wicker man who never lived. They see your assets must be stripped, but thwarted they will soon retreat. Essential proof they cannot meet. And evidence they cannot give. The court shake money through a sieve, and hope your strength will be short-lived. But power that is wrongly used will backfire when you stand accused of being a borrower when you're not. It's time to fire the final shot. Show me the money, where is the loan? You can't claim back what you've never owned, or redeem what you have never had. It surely cannot be this mad.
Brilliant. Have you published any of that?
Oh yeah. Part 4, bankers do not lend. Remember this, ladies and gentlemen, banks do not lend money. They issue credit on your signature. We never have to bow to those who play the game and win and lose, who peddle falsities, who trade your sovereignty with lies they made. It's all made up, so don't be fooled. by those ignoring their own rules. With capture regulation too, the FCA, more foe than friend, they keep pretending that banks lend, and so renouncing all the lies they flout. We are the ones who have the clout. A parasite should be starved out. The time is now to join up hands, to claim what's ours and leave our lands. No government bodies ruled by thieves, no more investments built on piles of leaves. The ombudsman who work for them, no independence, it's all a sham. They claim back your sovereignty again. We can't rely on mortal men who shield us from an honest view. They try to live with me and you. Instead of doing an honest day's work, they really do prefer to shirk. The shockumentary film that now exposes all the lies that banksters tell, they pave a road that leads to hell. They're desperate on an empty shell, being exposed and time will tell. These parasites ride on our backs, carrying fiat money in empty sacks. Their false foundation now implodes, bogus accounts and fake sort codes. The banking ledger is hid from view. They know that if we only knew their cheating ways, we'd start anew. Investigations we would mount, holding each one of them to account. We now expose each mortgage swindle. Watch carefully how the soul rekindles. It liberates, rebuilds your life, delivers you from this legal strife. While you take stock, their ticking time bomb is a clock. Their time has almost now run out. They'll soon receive a mighty clout. Deservedly so, we all want out. The message now is loud. The ship is ours alone to steer. Release confusion, defeat delusions, lawful rebellion, dispels illusions. Realise that the time is near when all that any of us hold dear will be restored to us again as freedom melts away all pain. Self-realisation across the nation. It claims back our right to live in peace, takes back our rights and revokes our plight. Time to transcend the long dark night, soaring to freedom in full flight as mindfulness restores our might. See, all that binds us is unreal. It must rescind, so usher in the real deal. Since all we all know what's right and wrong, the banks have conned us all along. So let your heart break into song. They are the weak and we the strong. We who have all come so far, so do remember who you are. For truth prevails, it never fails, and freedom is our guiding star.
Right.